Hello, students. Welcome to the second part of the discussion for shareholders' equity, which covers the treasury shares, right issue, and share split, which are examples of, or which are example of recapitalization. So the first thing that we have to discuss in this particular video is recapitalization. So what is this all about? So in this transaction, what happened is that there's a change in the capital structure of the entity. So in this case, the old shares are canceled and then the new shares are issued. So we have here 6 common or typical recapitalization. So one is change a par value share to no par value share, or change from no par value to par value, or you reduce the par value of the share, or reduce the stated value of the share. And then there could also be split up wherein number of shares would increase, or split down wherein the number of shares will decrease. So here's an example or illustration of what we're going to do if we're going to change a par value share to a no par value share. So in the example given, yung ordinary share capital natin ay a total of 5 million, that is 100 pesos times 50,000 shares. 100 peso per value, tapos meron tayong 50,000 shares, meron tayong 5 million. Share premium is reported at 500,000, whereas retained earnings is 2.5 million. So in the first case, so what if daw yung shares na 50,000 ay kinol in, ika-cancel, and tapos mag-i-issue tayo ng bagong no par value share with a stated value of 50 pesos per share. So if that's the case, since ika-cancel natin yung old na mga shares na mga par value share, so what you're going to do is you debit, of course, the share capital at par, which is 5 million, and yung mga share premium natin na meron, i-debit din natin at 500,000. Then credit ordinary share capital at par. So that's 50 pesos times 50,000 no par value shares. So meron tayong 2.5 million. Tapos yung excess, credit natin sa share premium recapitalization. So for the case 2, ito naman yung nangyari. So what if yung lahat ng 50,000 shares ay kinol in for cancellation, and instead, no, mag-i-issue na lang siya ng 150 na stated value na share or no par value na share. So in that case, no, so mas malaki yung ating stated value na 150 compared sa ating par value, which is only 100. So sobra na 50 pesos each, no? So what you're going to do, so same procedure, i-debit lang natin lahat ng ordinary share or lahat ng par value, no? Lahat ng accounts related sa share issuances before. In this case, it's ordinary share capital at par, which is 5 million, and then share premium na 500,000. Tapos, i-credit mo yung ordinary share capital natin at 7.5, that is 50,000 times its new stated value of 150, so you have 7.5 million. Na kung makikita natin, kulang, no, yung debit side compared to the credit side. So meron pang, no, parang hindi enough yung share premium na existing or balance na share premium para ma-cover up yung excess or difference between the stated value, the new stated value, and the old par value, which is 100. So in that case, take note, no, lahat ng or any difference between the new stated price or par value of the share versus that of the old one, kung meron niyang sobra, take note that charge natin yung share premium. Pag hindi pa enough yung share premium, then charge na natin sa retained earnings, just like what happened here, no? That since hindi enough yung share premium ng original issuance ng ordinary share capital natin, then charge na lang natin siya sa retained earnings. So as a rule, if the aggregate stated value of the new shares is more than the original issue price of the par value share, then the difference is charged to retained earnings. So changes in the par value of the share shall be charged or credited to share premium. However, if the excess in share capital exceeds share premium, the excess is charged to retained earnings. So yan, dapat nating tandaan ng mga rules. So next scenario is that what if there's a change from no par to par value share naman? So baliktad. No, kanina from par value gawin natin no par value. Ito baliktad. From no par value, transfer mo as par value share. So what do we do? No? Same process here. Meron tayong 50,000 shares. Ang stated value na ay 100. So that's 5 million. Wala tayong share premium. So retained earnings na lang na 2.5 million. So in our first case, so what if daw yung lahat ng 50,000 ay i-call in natin, and then instead, mag-issue tayo ng par value share which is worth 50 pesos per or par value. So how do you recognize that? So debit lang natin yung ordinary share natin, 5 million. Credit tayo ng ordinary share capital, that's 50,000 times 50. So that's 2.5. And then of course, yung sobra, recapitalization na natin yan. So next is, the next case is that what if we reduce to the par value? So in this example, from 100 par value, so ang kanilang proposal is gawin siyang 80 pesos per share. So what do we do? So yung original natin na no, yung kanyang yung original natin na par value which is 100 is now being reduced to 80 per share. Since yan yung kanyang gustong mangyari, no, i-reduce from 100 magiging 80 pesos na lang per share. So how do we account for that, no? So debit lang natin ang ordinary share capital, 50,000 times 20, yung reduced amount from 100 minus 80. So yung deducted amount which is 20 pesos per share, yun yung ginamit natin, pan-debit sa ordinary share capital, and then transfer it to share premium, recapitalization. So next is number 4, what if the reduce tayo ng stated value, no? From 100, gawin na lang 80. So same lang yung procedure natin dito, no? Whether par value or no par value. So yan, you have to credit it to share premium recapitalization. Okay, number 5, share split. So what happens here is that the original shares are called in for cancellation, and then re-replace sila ng mas maraming number of shares. A company, of course, since marami na yung shares natin, what will happen is that mag-reduce naman yung ating cost per share or price per share. So to increase the number of outstanding shares for the purpose of effecting a reduction in the unit market price, in terms of total, the share capital remains the same. However, no, the number of shares increases plus, no, par value or stated value decreases na no effect in the total amount of the share capital. So that is split up. So mas marami yung outstanding shares mo ngayon. Original shares are called in and replaced by a larger number accompanied by reduction in the par value. No, yan. Yan yung sinasabi niya dito. Okay? Then, the number of shares increases, par value or stated value decreases, and no effect in terms of the total amount of the share capital. So, only memorandum entry is required, no, when you receive notice for split up. So, in this example, now you have here, issued 50,000 new shares at a par value of 20 as a result of 5-for-1 split of 10,000 old shares at a par value of 100. Okay, so that is split up. Next is split down. So ito baliktad naman ng split up. So here, the original shares are called in, and then i-replace sila ng smaller number accompanied by an increase in the par value or stated value. So mas kukonti yung magiging shareholder sa share split. An entity has 10,000 shares issued and standing with 100 par values. If the shares are split down 5 to 1, the original capitalization would be 2,000 shares with 500 par value. So you have here, so before the split, you have 10,000 shares times 100, so that's 1 million. Then after the split, you have 2,000 shares times 500. That's also 1 million. So that's split down. Okay, next is right issue. So ano naman yung right issue? So right issue is granted to existing shareholders to enable them to acquire shares specific price during a specified period. So share right is a Philippine term, no? It is evidenced by share warrants, then preemptive right or right of preemption, um, and then normally the exercise price is less than the market value of of such shares. So most probably mas mababa yung exercise price para yung issuer or yung vendor talaga or yung nakatanggap nito ng right issue ay exercise niya talaga kasi advantageous on his or her part. So issuance of share rights, no? So no entry take is required because it is usually issued with no consideration. Then the entity only needs to make a memorandum entry to indicate the number of shares, share rights issued to the shareholders, and number of shares that can be purchased through the exercise of share right. So upon expiration of the share rights, a memorandum entry is required. And then the issue shares through the exercise of share rights then recorded manually. So we have here an example. If cash received of 1 million is equal to the par value of the share capital, so your entry would just be a debit to cash and credit to share capital. So what if 1.2 million yung kanyang dala? So it's more than the par value. So what you're going to do is you debit it to ito yung entry do. So what if the cash received is just 1 million, which is equivalent to the par value? So your entry would just be a debit to cash, credit 1 million. So what if the cash received is 1.2 million, is more than the par value of the 1 million, the journal entry? So kung makikita mo dito, no, yung share capital, para yung kinonsider niya as issue price is yung bago natin na par value, which is 1,000. So yan. Okay, next is preference shares issued with share warrants. Usually, ito mga companies na to, the reason where they are issuing preference shares is that they need money. So therefore, parang additional attraction to ang share warrants, no? Kasi ibang feature siya na preference share. So how do we account for what if no, the preference shares are issued with share warrants, no? So anong gagawin? So in case of a preference shares issued with the share warrants, so it just meant that you're issuing two securities. So one is a preference share and the other one is a share warrants. So what you have to do is we have to allocate no your issue price natin to both the preference shares and the share warrants. So ang basis natin class is ang market value ng mga securities or ng mga instruments, no? Like here in this particular illustration, binigyan tayo ng market value. So yung preference shares daw without the warrant or ex warrant is 120, whereas the share warrants is 10. So in this particular problem, the entity issued 20,000 preference shares. Par value niya is 100 for 3,250,000. Tapos meron siyang naka-attach na share warrants sa 20,000. And that 20,000 share warrants can acquire 10,000 na 50 par value ordinary shares at a price of 60 pesos no, per share. So what we're going to do is pinakaunang step is to allocate the issue price no, using the market values of both the preference and the share warrant. So with that, we have here yung preference shares natin, yung total market value niya, considering na 20,000 yung preference shares at 120 is 2.4 million. Whereas the share warrants 20 times 10, no? You have 200,000. So ito yung total niya, 2.6 million. So out of this market value, out of this total, you're going to create a fraction. So you have 24 over 26. Then we multiply that by the total issue price of 3,250,000. So that you'll have this 3 million. And then your share warrants, you have 2 over 26 times 3,250,000. So you have 250,000. So ito mga issue price, allocated issue price na to, ito yung i-consider natin when we make journal entry, no? So like for example, of the 3,250,000, meaning 3 million of that goes to preference shares, whereas 250,000 goes to share warrants. So in order to make a journal entry, ito yung magiging entry mo, no? You debit cash, 3,250,000, and then you credit preference shares at par value, that is 20,000 times 100. So you have 2 million. So since yung allocate na amount kay preference shares is 3 million, tapos yung par value is only 2 million. So meaning, yung excess, yung sobra na 1 million is a share premium natin yun. Okay, and then we recognize na our share warrants outstanding amounting to 250,000 based on how much was allocated no from the issue price. So ito yung magiging journal entry natin. So what if lahat ng 20,000 share warrants are exercised? No, so mag-i-issue yung corporation ng 10,000 ordinary shares, and based on what was agreed, no, or based on the previous problem, sabi niya doon, tag 60 per share daw yung ordinary share pag bumili ang mga preference shareholders or kung exercise nila yung kanilang share warrants. So with that, you'll have 10,000 shares times 60, so you'll have 600,000. Then, iti-debit natin yung share warrants outstanding kasi nga gagamitin na siya. So, debit or exercise na siya. So, debit 250,000 for share warrants outstanding. And then, credit ordinary share capital for par value yan. That's 10,000 times 50 pesos na par value. So, you have 500,000. And then, yung sobra, share premium natin. Credit tayo, 350,000. So, if share warrants are not exercised, no, kanyari hindi niya, for some reasons, hindi niya in-exercise ng mga preference shareholders, tapos na-expire na yung share warrant, so you're going to simply close and credit it, no, or to share premium. So you just debit share warrants outstanding and credit share premium. Now, what if only the preference share o isa lang sa mga securities, no, either preference share or share warrants ang merong market value? So ano ang gagawin natin? So since hindi available yung market value ng dalawa, you cannot really allocate it, no? So what you're going to do is you apply the residual approach. So residual approach meaning kung ano yung security na merong market value, so i-allocate muna sa kanya yung total issue price, no? So kunin mo muna yung value, yung market value ng security na merong known na market value. And then yung sobra, yun na yung magiging allocated amount para sa natirang security, which is in this case, share warrants. So in the example given, so what if daw yung market value lang ng preference shares ang meron, no, 120, tapos hindi known ang market value ng share warrants. At as the issue price is 3,250,000. And paano siya i-allocate? So as I've said, unahin na muna natin computein yung fair value or market value ng preference shares. In this case, it's 2.4 million. So meaning of the total issue price of 3,250,000, 2,400,000 will be allocated first to preference shares. So yung sobra na 850,000 para na yun sa share warrants. No? So if you are to journalize it, so yung cash mo na na-receive na 3,250,000, i-credit mo siya sa preference share capital at 2 million. And then yung sobra na lang para sa preference, share premium para sa preference shares ay 400,000 na lang. Kasi nga, 2.4 million lang ang yung inallocate natin para sa preference share. So yung sobra lang na 2.4 minus the par value of 2 million is only 400,000. And then we credit all of the amounts no, yung excess at 850,000 to share warrants outstanding. Okay, so that's the end of the presentation. I hope you learned something from this video.